Hello folks, Neuro here, your guide to the quirky corners of history. Today we're journeying down under to the vast sun-scorched plains of Australia, but not for a typical wildlife adventure. Instead, we're turning the pages back to the early 1930s when something rather peculiar unfolded. Picture this: the Australian army armed to the teeth against emus. Yes, you heard it right, emus. This isn't a quirky Australian joke, but a real event that's as riveting as it is bewildering. It's a tale that has everything: drama, conflict, and an unexpected adversary. And let's not forget, it's also a story that gives us a unique insight into human-animal interactions and their unforeseen consequences. So, are you ready to explore this unusual chapter of history with me? So buckle up, my fellow history buffs, as we dive into the bizarre tale of Australia's Great Emu War. Let's set the stage. The year is 1932, in the heart of Western Australia. Picture, if you will, a land down under, where the sun blazes hot in the sky and the red earth stretches as far as the eye can see. It's a tough place to live, even in the best of times. But these aren't the best of times. The world is in the grip of the Great Depression, and Australia is not immune. Many of the people trying to eke out a living from this unforgiving land are veterans, men who've served their country in the Great War. They've returned home to a hero's welcome, given land by their government to farm, a chance to build a new life. But farming isn't easy, especially not here, and especially not now. The depression has brought drought, and with it a new threat. Emus, huge flightless birds native to Australia, are on the move. Normally they roam the outback, but the dry conditions have driven them towards the cultivated lands. They're in search of water and food, and they find plenty of both on the farms. Thousands upon thousands of emus descend on the farmlands, devouring crops, destroying fences, wreaking havoc. For the farmers, it's a disaster. They're already struggling to survive, and now this. Their pleas for help echo through the halls of government. But what can be done? After all, it's not like you can declare war on birds, or can you? It's a situation that seems almost too strange to be true. Yet it is. Veterans turned farmers, a nation in the throes of economic hardship, and an invasion of giant birds. It's the stuff of tall tales and legends, yet it's real. And so, the stage was set for a conflict as unusual as it was intense, a war against emus. And thus the war began. But this was no ordinary war. This was a war where the Australian government, armed with all its might, faced off against a seemingly harmless adversary: the emus. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But yes, this is the story of the Great Emu War. The emus, native to Australia, had been causing havoc in the Western Australian farming communities. The birds, in their search for food and water, had started to invade the farmland, causing significant damage to the crops. The farmers were at their wits' end, and the government had to step in. In a decision that might seem surreal today, the Australian government decided to tackle this problem with military force. Yes, you heard that right. The military, usually deployed to safeguard the nation from human threats, was now summoned to wage a war against birds. Soldiers armed with machine guns were dispatched to the farmlands. Their mission: to control the emu population. But these flightless birds proved to be more formidable than anyone had anticipated. The emus, with their incredible speed and unpredictable nature, managed to evade the soldiers' attacks. Picture this: a flock of emus scattering in all directions at the sound of gunfire, running at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, leaving the soldiers befuddled and bemused. The initial strategies of the military were a complete failure. The emus were not easy targets, and their speed and unpredictable movements made them hard to hit. It was as if they knew what was coming and had their own battle strategies in place. The first round of this extraordinary war went to the emus. They had managed to outwit and outrun the Australian military. The birds had won the first battle, leaving the soldiers and the government to rethink their strategies. The emus had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. The Australian government was not ready to accept defeat. The stage was set for the next round of this unusual war, a war that would go down in history as one of the most bizarre conflicts ever. The Australian military, undeterred, regrouped and revised their strategy. In the face of adversity, they rallied, putting their heads together to come up with an entirely new game plan. It was clear that their initial approach was not working. Emus, it appeared, were not as easy to outmaneuver as they had initially thought. they decided to adapt to the situation in a manner that was as unconventional as the problem they were facing. Trucks. Yes, you heard that right. The military decided to use motorized vehicles to chase down these flightless birds. It may sound hilarious now, but back then, it was a matter of national pride. The trucks offered a level of mobility that the soldiers hadn't had before. They could now keep up with the emus' surprising speed and agility. It turned out to be a smart move, an adaptation born out of necessity that dramatically shifted the dynamics of this strange war. With their new strategy in place, the military found much more success. They were able to get closer to the emus and their shots became more accurate. In the following weeks, a large number of emus fell to this new tactic. The soldiers' morale soared as they finally began to make headway in this bizarre conflict. Of course, it wasn't all easy. The emus were tough, resilient, and incredibly hard to catch, even with the advantage of motor vehicles. But the tide was slowly turning. The military's relentless efforts were finally starting to pay off. The emus, once the unassailable adversaries, were now within their reach. The soldiers' determination, their willingness to adapt, and their never-say-die attitude were beginning to shift the balance of power. The emus, who had once seemed invincible, were now losing ground. It was an unexpected turnaround, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Australian military. It seemed the tide had turned in favor of the humans. The emus had met their match in the resourcefulness of their human counterparts. But as we'll see in the next chapter, this war was far from over. But what happened after the guns fell silent? The end of the conflict marked a new beginning for both the emus and the humans of Australia. The immediate aftermath of the Emu War was marked by a flurry of public reactions, from shock and disbelief to amusement and critique. Australians were divided, with some finding humor in the situation, while others expressed concern about the government's unusual approach to pest control. As the dust settled, the Australian government, recognizing the ongoing issue, adopted a bounty system as a more sustainable approach to control the emu population. This led to a marked decrease in the emu numbers, with thousands of bounties claimed over the following years. It was a less dramatic but arguably more effective strategy than the military intervention. Fast forward to today, and the emu population in Australia is thriving. The large flightless birds are now protected by law, and their numbers have rebounded significantly. They can be seen roaming the vast Australian outback, a testament to their resilience and adaptability. The Great Emu War, as it has come to be known, has left an indelible mark on Australia's history. It's remembered with a mix of humor and disbelief, a peculiar chapter in the nation's past. The event has been immortalized in popular culture, with references in books, films, and even video games. It's a story that continues to captivate audiences around the globe, a testament to the strange and unexpected turns history can take. In the grand scheme of things, the Emu War serves as a reminder of our complex relationship with the natural world. It highlights the challenges of cohabitation with wildlife and the lengths we may go to in our attempts to control it. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and the power of nature. And so ended the Great Emu War, a peculiar chapter in Australian history. So there you have it. The Emu War, a tale of resilience, adaptation, and the unpredictability of nature. Now, isn't that a story for the ages? We've traveled through time back to the early 20th century, to a country far down under. We've seen how a flock of seemingly ordinary birds, the emus, managed to outwit human strategies and machinery in their quest for survival. This is not just a story about a war, but a testament to the power of adaptation and the unpredictability of nature. It's a reminder that even the best-laid plans can go awry when faced with the might of the natural world. This unique chapter in Australia's history underscores the importance of understanding our environment and coexisting with our fellow Earthlings. What a journey it's been, right? The Great Emu War, a story that's as unique as it is unforgettable. Thanks for joining me, Neuro, on this historical journey. Until next time, stay curious.